We're here at the Care Center today for the EV Charging Expo. Super grateful to Electric Autonomy for partnering with ICE and ICE's ZEVs Across the Land program to reduce barriers and open the doors for Indigenous people and communities to come out and learn about EVs. What we know is that there's a lot of interest to learn more. One of the things that I really wanted to do was to have a bit of a space for our guests to meet, connect with each other, and also open the door for them to learn from each other. So what we did was we held a meet and greet today, and it was just a very informal setting where folks could introduce themselves, take a little bit of a breath away from the big overwhelming expo floor, and share a little bit about what their intentions are, what they're hoping to learn. You know, if you're living out in rural areas, you can't always have the access to information, and in-person events isn't always there. So having a place like this where you can kind of come down and meet all kinds of great partners, connect with each other, that was our goal, to make it a welcoming, open space for learning.
So my community at the moment, I've been working on a EV charger installation project. I hope to bring back the knowledge that I've learned today about the different EV chargers, the solar battery storages that they have out there that we could probably utilize for our solar projects that we have and our now EV chargers. Hopefully learning some information to bring back to our funders and our equipment providers and stuff like that. See if we can get a better understanding of how the program and everything runs.
Just purchased an EV, so what I've noticed when I was back home, what I find is there's no charging infrastructure. So here, just looking for partners to see if we can set up some kind of charging stations, maybe a couple in Sudbury, one in Espanola, just something small to start. An EV is almost like a natural way for us to gravitate towards transportation. As an Indigenous person, we're stewards of the land, we're trying to protect the land, do as least harm as possible. And EV, I think, represents that completely. Just for myself, just driving through my community, knowing that there's no emissions that I'm leaving behind, that's, pretty great feeling. I was out there looking at a sports car that sounds like a sports car. Delivery vehicles right down to a truck Silverado, which is a great vehicle for contractors and stuff, which we have a lot of back in my community. And one of the things is, how's it going to hold up? So those are questions that I'm looking for answers for today. And I'm looking to take that back and hopefully convince some contractors to even give it a shot just to try one out. So I came down to the expo last year. Electric vehicles for me was brand new. I didn't know anything about it. I was able to do a test drive, thought about it for the whole rest of the year. I know what EVs represent, what they can do. And the only way to prove it is to actually do it. Proving to my community and people back home that EVs work, I had to go out and get one myself. So now I have one, with a program that I'm running this summer where anybody from my community can approach me and ask me for a test drive in my vehicle. I will be willing to take you out, let you drive it, take it around the reserve for a little bit. You have to drive an EV to get the full experience of it. Once you do, you'll kind of get an idea of what it's like, and it might just be enough to convince you.
Well, what I want to bring back to my community, especially for the youth, is kind of help with the understanding of EVs, because there is a big gap. I believe that it's very important for especially our Indigenous youth to be the ones to lead this change. In order for them to have that opportunity is to get the information. It's important to get the information. And eventually in the future, I hope that this EV Expo will include our Indigenous youth, so that we're not having to bring the information back, that they're here, they're present, their voices are heard. I guess that's what inspires me. I see our Indigenous youth being here. I see them being on panels. I see them sharing their firsthand experiences on how this may or may not work, teaching the people in the industry what are the gaps, the realities that they're facing, especially with remote areas where it's flying communities. Like, how is EV going to work in the communities? As Indigenous people, we're the original stewards of this land. We've been doing land protection since long before EVs were even invented. Our people have to be at these seats. We have to be in these spaces because we are the original land protectors. We are the original caretakers of this land. It's important for us to be included in these spaces and to have our voices heard and to share our knowledge and the things that we face in our communities.
There's always been concern of how electric vehicles specifically are applicable to the context on rural reserves. So a lot of communities, my community as well, have dirt roads. There's lots of potholes. Like, we think of small towns that have issues with like large potholes, those issues and concerns are exacerbated on rural reserves. That is always the concern, and that's always the issue, is how relevant are these vehicles in our communities. And so that's what I came to kind of learn, to see if there's any like relevant technologies or systems that we'll be able to bring back to a community that doesn't have the same infrastructure or the same degree of development. With electric vehicles, there's always the concern of like where the metals and minerals are coming from. Extractivism is a huge issue in Indigenous territories. But with that said, current day emissions are having real impacts. I think for me, like, it aligns with Indigenous values in that we're not polluting the environments that we live in. We're moving away from a dependence on fossil fuels and more towards a more sustainable way of living, which, although again, it still requires a mass amount of resources, but it's a step towards a more greener and more sustainable future. In Anishinaabe teachings specifically, that's one of our teachings, is to utilize what we have now. We don't have the technology that's completely extraction-free, emission-free, but what we do have is the EVs that we see here today. So.
Oh, it was wonderful to meet the ICE cohort today. I worked with ICE on the Charge Up program. As well, I've got some friends that are 2020 catalysts. ICE does a great job, and whenever you get to interact with these people, knowledge share and network on different ideas. I want to change, revolutionize, and get rid of gasoline vehicles. Whatever I can do to mitigate that is my goal, and ICE is a great platform for me to help reach that goal.
I am now currently the environmental manager for the Chippewas of Georgian Island First Nation. My background is in environment. So for me, bringing back the knowledge of clean energy on how to save our planet, our Mother Earth, because 7 generations after us is the ones that are going to have to deal with all of what we're doing now. The advice I would give is never give up. I'm still learning. I've been in this field for about 6 years now, and I'm still learning, like, daily. I'm still learning as I go, and don't get discouraged. The information you learn will come naturally eventually.